kids, teens, and adults. The big yellow bus was full of happy songs and excited chatter. Connell and Emily sat at the very front, steering the group toward a grand adventure. Everyone was buckled in and ready to see the famous Pitcairn Islands. When the bus finally stopped, Owen and Aaron hopped out first. They saw a small, hand-painted sign that said, "Welcome, population 52. "Only 52 people?" Aaron asked, blinking in surprise. The island felt very quiet and very small. But the island wasn't empty. Right in the middle, a giant green creature stood taller than the trees. Bonnie and Connor gasped, their eyes going wide and their mouths falling open in total shock. They had never seen anything so enormous. The giant was a kind Godzilla. He wasn't scary at all. He was leaning close to a big, smoking volcano, wearing a very wide and gentle smile. He seemed to love the warm, cozy feeling of the mountain's heat. While everyone else stared, Cohen stayed busy. He sat on a log, focused on his favorite book, 50 Ways to Play with Your Toys. Nearby, Caleb found a nice bench and started eating a giant, delicious sandwich, happy as can be. "He looks very friendly," Tegan whispered to Lou, "but maybe he wants some friends to play with." The teenagers looked at the giant smiling lizard and decided they should do something special to make him even happier. Molly and Harrison started gathering all the things they brought from home. They piled up colorful bouncy balls and shiny building blocks in the grass. "Maybe Godzilla wants to play with our toys," Molly said with a bright giggle. Rory and Olo found a giant, inflatable beach ball in the back of the bus. It was as big as a car. They carried it together toward the volcano, hoping their giant green friend would want to play a game of catch. Connell and Emily gathered everyone into a big circle near the giant's feet. They began to clap their hands and sing a loud, joyful song. All the kids and teens joined in, filling the island with the happiest music anyone had ever heard. Godzilla's smile grew so big that his eyes crinkled with joy. He loved the toys, the music, and his new friends. Bonnie waved up at him, and the giant Godzilla gave a happy little wag of his tail. It was the best trip ever. Rainy days in the Pitcairn. The rain began to pitter-patter over the Pitcairn Islands. Suddenly, a very loud beep-beep-beep echoed from the hills. It was the emergency alarm. Owen and Cohen froze in the grass, their eyes growing wide with surprise as the sound filled the air. Cohen didn't want to lose his place in his story. He clutched his book tight and ran toward the house. Inside, little Bonnie heard the loud alarm too. The noise was so sharp that it made her tongue feel tingly and sour, like she had just bitten into a lemon. Outside, the wind began to blow. Connor realized he couldn't see very well, so he quickly found his glasses and slid them onto his nose. Nearby, Caleb saw his big, yummy sandwich sitting on a stump. He grabbed it in a hurry and followed Connor inside. "Everyone listen," Emily called out. She stood in the middle of the living room, looking very brave. "The rain is getting stronger. We must go outside to the 4 planes and fly to the safe zone." Connell stood by her side, ready to help the group. The teenagers were the first to reach the runway. Lou, who was a very good pilot, climbed into the front of the first plane. Tegan hopped in right behind her, ready for an island adventure in the sky. Rory and Olo scrambled into the back seats of the first plane. They buckled their seat belts as the engine began to hum. "We're all set, Lou," Rory shouted over the sound of the rain hitting the wings. The second plane was for the grown-ups. Emily climbed into the pilot's seat this time. Connell sat next to her, checking the map to make sure they knew exactly where the high ground was. The third plane was the most crowded of all. It was filled with kids. Connor put on his pilot's cap and took the controls. Owen sat right behind him, watching the raindrops dance across the glass as the plane lifted off. The fourth plane carried the rest of the citizens. Fletcher, also known as Citizen 43, was the pilot for this group. Aaron sat in the passenger seat, watching the island get smaller and smaller as Fletcher steered them up into the clouds. All four planes landed gently on the very top of the biggest house on the island. Everyone hopped out into the helicopter zone. Molly and Harrison shared a big hug, happy to be safe and dry high above the rainy waves. The News Kids versus the Tornado. It was a beautiful day for a walk. Theo and Lauren led the way down the sunny path. They were part of a very special group called the New Kids, or TNK for short. The sun was shining and everything felt just right. Suddenly, a loud whirring sound came from the clouds. "Look!" Ben shouted, pointing his finger toward the sky. Didoni looked up too. A bright, colorful kid plane was landing right in front of them to take them on a big adventure. Domar was ready for anything. He opened his backpack to show Ampersand all his treasures. He had white paper, a shiny pen, and 2 pink erasers. "I'm going to write down everything we see," Domar said with a grin. Eric had brought something fun too. He clutched his favorite toys tightly as the wind began to pick up. "Stay close, Eric," Domar called out. The sky was turning a funny shade of gray, and the trees started to wiggle and wave. Oh no, a giant tornado appeared, spinning round and round. It was so strong that it started to lift the people of the town right off their feet. Citizen 100 and Citizen 101 floated up into the air, holding onto their hats as the wind whirled. Citizen 11, who was Domar's brave dad, Mason, ran to the kid plane. He grabbed Domar's hand and helped him hop inside. Mason sat Domar right in the front passenger seat and buckled his seatbelt tight to keep him safe. Nearby, the big citizen plane was waiting. Cole, known as Citizen 1, and Ujarte, known as Citizen 2, ran as fast as they could. They climbed up the silver stairs and hopped inside just before the wind got too grumpy. The wind roared and the tornado spun faster and faster. The whole TNS community was in big trouble. Lauren and Theo held hands tightly, standing tall. Nearby, the wind roared and the tornado spun faster and faster. The whole TNS community was in big trouble. Lauren and Theo held hands tightly, standing tall against the breeze. They hoped a hero would come to help them soon. Suddenly, a giant shadow fell over the storm. It was the kind Godzilla. He wasn't scary at all. With one big, mighty roar, Godzilla reached out and caught the tornado in his big hands, squishing it until it disappeared forever. The sun came back out, and everyone was safe. Eric ran over to give a big wave to their new friend. Godzilla smiled a giant, toothy smile back at him. The News Kids and all the citizens were happy and dry, thanks to the very kind Godzilla. Godzilla's Age and Megacar VSA, Super Hostile Alive Car. Godzilla is very, very old. Today, he decided to write down exactly how old he is on a giant boulder. He picked up a big blue crayon and wrote, 1 billion. His pet bird, Bailey, chirped happily and flapped her wings around the big, round zeros. Suddenly, a loud, angry vroom echoed across the field. A super hostile alive car named Nash roared into view. Nash had sharp metal teeth in his grille and glowing red eyes for headlights. He was not a friendly car at all, and he wanted to cause trouble. Godzilla stood up to defend his friends, but something was wrong. He tried to use his mega breath power, but only a few tiny, quiet bubbles came out. His power wasn't working. Nash the car growled and prepared to strike with a mean lunge. "Don't worry, everyone," a brave voice called out. It was Cohen, but he was growing bigger and stronger every second. He transformed into the strong Cohen. Bailey the bird chirped a loud cheer as the hero stepped forward to save the day. The strong Cohen was not afraid of the mean car. He reached out and grabbed Nash's metal grill with his powerful hands. With a mighty tug, he pulled the car's jaws wide open. Nash tried to wiggle away, but Cohen held on tight with his super strength. While the jaws were open, the strong Cohen hopped right inside the car's brain. It was full of grumpy thoughts. Cohen quickly pulled out the mean ideas and replaced them with silly pictures of rubber ducks and flying pizzas to make the car feel better. As soon as the strong Cohen jumped out of the car's brain, a magical wind began to blow through the trees. Godzilla felt his toes tingle and his scales glow. His mega power was back. He gave the strong Cohen a giant high five for being so brave. A giant plane with 4 floors landed in the soft grass. It even had a special Godzilla-sized seat in the front. Eric and Lauren led the other citizens up the ramp to the safety of the plane's cozy rooms, waving as they climbed aboard. Godzilla was ready to lead the way home. Theo and Domar climbed up a long ladder and sat right on top of Godzilla's bumpy head. They held onto his scales and looked out at the beautiful world from very high up. Ben hopped up to join his friends on Godzilla's head, waving his arms in the air. Down on the ground, the hero's work was done. The strong Cohen took a deep breath and turned back into his normal self, smiling up at his brave friends.